All right, this is a very important story as the World Cup is less than a week away. Denise Jones, Brett Erlich, Strom, Jayar Jackson. What you are going to see is a hidden man's identity. Look, it's funny, it's gonna throw you off a little bit, but he is an incredible investigative journalist. His name is Anas, and he comes from Africa. This is how he keeps his identity. He uses many different ways to shield his identity as well, with different colors, different hats, and what have you. Now the reason that, shut up, Jayar. Now the reason that this is important is because the BBC put something out with a referee and a president of football accepting bribes. And these bribes range in small amounts or large amounts. This is a documentary the BBC is going to air. Over 100 officials and their bosses took cash, and over 150 separate payments in total. We could run through these. One official was among those filmed. Again, investigative journalist, having secret microphones and cameras. This is one official, and this is important. This man right here, let's go back for just a moment so I can get his name. Range Marwa, next one, thank you, of Kenya. This is very important. He was set to be an official at the World Cup on the sidelines, ruling offsides, fouls, what have you. He took cash. On top of that, the US opened up in 2015. They were trying to find as much as they could. I still think that there's a ways to go, even with Sepp Blatter out and Gianni Infantino in. Here's the next important one. The president of Ghanaian football, Kwesi Nyanka, Okay, so the president of Ghanaian football sat down with Anas, and he took a payment, as you are going to see right here, of $60,000. The very next one. So as I stated previously, the assistant referee was set to work the World Cup. He resigned as recently as today, as we are shooting this. On top of that, Ghana has decided to dissolve its National Football Association a day after officials, including the body's president, were shown in a documentary taking kickbacks. This has been a huge problem with soccer, not even in Europe, but all across the world. My question is, as now Anas is doing this, and I assume he's gonna have a lot more in this 2+ hour documentary for the BBC, does this take anything away from you watching the World Cup and knowing that this is going on?
No, because for years it's something that we kind of just look away from, or you expect. Even if you've watched a soccer match that isn't like your a local soccer match, soccer is such a slow and patient game where sometimes you do get an offsides call and you're kind of confused. Like everyone's seeing it. There's video that proves that it was clearly offsides, or whether it was or it wasn't, and then the ref will call it, contradicting everyone's views, right? And there's no way, like refs in soccer get so much leeway and so much trust where everything's held accountable. Unlike, in the NBA where if we see the video, then sometimes they decide to turn back on the decision. But no, to answer your question, this doesn't take away from me watching the World Cup. It's something that has been going on for years and years to come, and it's something that's gonna continue going on. It's really unfortunate, and now we're just getting a slight view on what's been going on for years. But it's something that everyone has expected.
Do you feel cheated sometimes though? Because
there's sometimes, yeah, absolutely. Especially when you put money on a game, or it's your team on the line, or it's a match that's very important when it comes to advancing. Absolutely, I'm gonna be completely pissed and devastated, and there's gonna be a lot of emotions.
But you'll be back.
But I'll be back, and it's something that, again, that you expect to be happening, because on the opposite end, if it happens to a team and my team advances,
right, that's almost like the ball. Right, just as like a fraction of a millimeter can be the difference between a goal and a miss, whoever got paid that day, you don't know, it seems pretty random, could be the difference between a team winning and a team losing.
Exactly.
But here's the thing that frustrates me in this discussion about soccer, is that there are a lot of weird liberties that the referees are given within the boundaries of the rules that like injury time, stoppage time, injury time, it's at their discretion. Oh, we've been keeping it the whole time. It's just like, you're not gonna score, all right, the game's over.
Yeah.
The offside, like certain things that are outside an instant replay rule. That when you ask people responsible for potentially changing that rule, they say, well, no, that's just how this game has been, and we're protecting the integrity of the beautiful sport.
Right.
this gives you proof that the reason that they're not changing the rules is actually because they're getting paid. It makes me say, well, let's check against that so that if there's a random offsides call, why don't we just have instant replay to award the ball back? Or have some kind of way to reestablish the players as they were.
For the day they institute
it won't happen because of stuff like this. And the only way to make sure that those changes happen is through documentaries like the one the BBC's doing. I mean, it got Blatter, whatever the hell his name is. Seth Blatter is out.
Yeah, it took forever.
Took forever, but it happened.
Took 20 years.
It took the exact kind of journalistic work that we're going to see on display in this 2-hour documentary. So if that keeps going, the question is there's also like that little bit of when you go to the, you try to it's a little bad. Like soccer's a little bad, and I know it's dirty, but it's freaking soccer, and everybody's in it.
Right.
It's the kind of corrupt. Soccer's the kind of corrupt that the world is. Let's just go with it.
Real quick, Jayar, we're all in the group text, right? And Jayar will bring up how there's a foul call in the NBA playoffs that changes the momentum of the game. There's a reason that they use the same word in soccer, because it also is so subjective. A referee can call and stop play no matter what. It could be a 3-on-2. And they will stop play in order to prevent something. I'm not saying that every single referee is getting paid. They get paid way more than $600 for a bribe.
I was going to point at the $600.
$600 is first off, that dude needs some counseling to take that little.
Yeah.
But on top of that, as we discussed many times, the reason they use the foul in both sports is because it stops play altogether and just brings everything to a standstill for play to reset.
And to prove to Brett's point, yes, it does stop the play, but in soccer, the time is still going. So you can milk a foul for good 5 minutes, and that 5 minutes can be the cost of the game. So, and they can only keep so much track. The refs can only keep so much track of the time that was wasted, and then you get maybe a few minutes after the game, or after the half. But even then, it's not what you lost.
The question for soccer fans is if they implement things that would make it more robotic and direct and without human error to avoid, because the sport is the biggest thing in the world. We know this. So it's ripe with potential corruption and bribery. It's just the nature of something that's that huge. It's and that important to so many people. So it's gonna come with that. So would soccer fans be willing to take a robotic approach to the officiating of the game?
Yes.
It's a question a lot of baseball fans have to answer.
I'm the same way.
We've seen the box of the strike zone and umpires at home plate, whether or not it's a strike or a ball, and it's kind of split. They're like, do you want a robot telling you what a strike and a ball is? Because sometimes you're gonna think, oh, this umpire has a wide zone, this guy has a small one, and we liked that variation, but are you willing to let that happen?
As a baseball fan, have you grown tired of that?
Of which one?
Different zones, different umpires having.
It frustrates you, but I like it.
You do.
It's weird.
It humanizes the game.
But you know what? But if it's something but you don't think that it's a broad scale of home plate umpires taking bribes to do this. With soccer, if it's this big, I'm not a big fan of the sport, so I'm less of a word or a voice for it. But you have to kind of start implementing things that, and the things it's hard to implement hard rules in a sport like that. What? Offsides maybe, put a line, what? And we know it's gonna cross a review.
Well,
but if it's a foul, if a guy's laying on the ground getting the fake spray on his knee, pick his ass up, take him off.
Here's what's frustrating for me.
You have a 2-minute limit. Get the hell out of it.
I used to work with the company that did the whatever it is, laser sighting as whether it's a goal and went over the line. They have it. They have it. They have the ability to
like in tennis.
Like in tennis, the Hawkeye, it's called. And you can do that for offsides. It's the same thing. It's the same fundamental premise.
You know for a fact they have all of this at their disposal. FIFA just is ignorant.
FIFA, it isn't ignorant. It's willfully the way you can track where the ball is and you can track where the people are. And it's not, when you look at your screen on the replay, you're like, well, I know that the camera's here and the guy's here. And so there's an angle. The same way that we can make the first down line be at the right angle on the right part of the court, we could track exactly where the ball was, at least at that moment, in an instant replay and where that dude was.
True.
So to conclude,
they wrap the whole stadium. I mean, in many cases with cameras.
Well, look, what was it? Oh, the slam dunk contest. They have cameras everywhere. We're seeing every millimeter of an angle around one guy dunking.
Around the rim of the Super Bowl.
So you think this will never happen?
I mean, in that defense, though, a basketball court is a lot smaller than a soccer field.
It is, but you could line up the cameras all throughout a soccer stadium.
That's what they did. They had a bunch of cameras in the Super Bowl anyway. They could do
Yeah.
it, and they can track where the ball is. They can track where people are. Period. And they don't because they think it'll slow the game down. I get it, and it's soccer, and it's like every 4 years I'm like, well, we should probably fix this, and it's like, all right. I check back 3.5 years later when I'm starting to track where the nearest Ukrainian sports bar is, so I go randomly cheer for them.
The Ukrainian sports bar.
That's what we did last time. We dressed and pretended we were from the Ukraine.
Oh, fun.
Can I hear your Ukrainian accent?
No. We didn't even do the accent. We were just like, Ukraine, woo!
Fantastic. I look forward to what the U.S. is going to do in the World Cup, by the way, as well, in 2022. So we are done here.
USA, we're going all the way.
We're going all the way.
Mexico.
Next time.
Mexico.
So let us know your thoughts, comment section below. Subscribe to TYT Sports. We'll see you on Monday.